turn up. It is Sunday, 5:30 here in Vancouver. Hello, got people turning up. Okay, so what was I going to say? Oh, nothing. I'm just waiting for people to turn up. If you're the only ones here and you have any questions, you can ask right away. Otherwise, you can go on my link above and you can check out what I've got. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. You have to email me, tell me why you want to work with me. I can't take everyone on anymore, so I can only take on so many clients. So, but yeah, if you're in crisis or you're a past client, you get top priority. So, do you have any parenting questions? That's why I'm here. It's a good time to ask. These Facebook Lives are getting a bit busier, so I can't answer all the questions on here anymore. I used to be able to, but yeah, so I do my best. But Facebook is a slow burn. People turn up and don't ask questions right away. So then they all pile in at the end of the live. So if you have any questions, ask now, because I'm just sitting here waiting for you. Anyway, if you're brand new, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and I've been working with kids for 52 years. So I just take all that experience and smash it into a business, and that's why I'm here. Anyway, I should work on my elevator pitch. That's not very good, but I don't care about stuff like that. Okay, Melissa, I have a 4-year-old who hates washing his hair. Do you have any suggestions? Not really. I would ask him, say, what can I do to help you? If you don't like washing your hair, I totally understand. Do you want to do it in the kitchen sink? Do you want to do it in the shower, the bathtub? So yeah, just ask his advice. He's 4 years old. Say, it's going to be washed. I used to say stuff like this to my kids. If they didn't like something, it was like with vegetables. They didn't like vegetables. I said, well, you're eating them. So let's work on it together. What do you like? What do you hate? You know, so we worked on it together. Ask his advice. Offer him some suggestions. I'm new to your approach. I'm doing the ask one time, then act. When my son does the wrong thing and I try the corrective action, like unpacking dishwasher in here. No, that's not a corrective action. Okay, I'm going to clarify that. Yeah, that's not a corrective action. I'm going to clarify that. Obviously, I didn't communicate it well enough because most people who turn up are regulars. So a consistent corrective action happens under the age of 3. If they're 3 and over, use my behavior board. They go on there and then there's a consequence, like emptying the dishwasher. But a consistent corrective action is taking something away usually. You take fun away from them away from the fun. It's stuff like that. So yeah, that's a consistent corrective action. The doing a chore, that's a consequence. Doesn't sound that different. It makes total sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Yeah, at the age of 3, they go on the behavior board. Under the age of 3, consistent corrective action is it's a quick action right in the moment. Not go over there and do the dishwasher. They're not going to do it. It's not going to work. Also, if you ask them to empty the dishwasher when they're 3 and above, that's the positive action consequence. You have a backup. If they won't do that, there's no computer or no media for the next 24 hours. Check it out. It's all on the behavior board. Don't just do it like I just said. Check out the behavior board. It goes through how you do it and why you do it, etc. That's all free. Okay, does that make sense though? Enderbeard, sorry. Sorry about what? What are you sorry about? Amanda, why did you say sorry? Oh, so if the consequence is unpacking the dishwasher and refuses, what next? You mean on the behavior board? It explains it. It would be 24-hour media blackout. I would say, okay, so if they're 3 and above, you do this. If they're under 3, you don't. If they're 3 and above, you say, okay, well, you broke a rule. Make sure it's on the behavior board, though. It has to be all organized. And you just do 1 rule per week. I would go in and do every single rule the first day. I deal with everything. I'm level 10 with what I teach. So you're learning how to do this. So that's why it's only 1 rule per week. And then you say, okay, so you have to empty up the dishwasher within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. And then you just stand there waiting. 10 minutes. Okay, beep, 10 minutes is up. Okay, let's go to the behavior board. So you didn't empty the dishwasher, so now it's 24-hour media blackout or something like that. You take their favorite toy away for 24 hours. And that's called the negative deprivation. You resort to that if they won't do the positive action discipline. So there's always 2 consequences for the kids. Get stuck in this all the time. So they say, okay, 24-hour media blackout, runs and empties the dishwasher like that because he doesn't want the 24-hour media blackout. Okay, I emptied the dishwasher. Yeah, but you didn't do it in the 10 minutes. You've already got the 24-hour media blackout. It's happening. Once you say it, it has to happen. If you say it, then he empties the dishwasher after the 10-minute time limit is up, too bad. He doesn't have, and plus he doesn't have to do it. Once he's got the media blackout, the dishwasher doesn't have to be emptied. If he runs and does it, that's up to him. Once you've said something, you have to follow through. I have a child with autism. Okay, I only discuss autism in coaching. If you want to work with me in coaching, you'd have to send me an email and tell me what you're dealing with, and then I'll see if I can fit you in. I'm just really busy right now, so you have to email me. Yeah, good for you, Amanda. And don't say sorry for getting that right. You know, if you get something wrong that I've explained, I haven't explained it well enough, right? So it's on me. Straight to media blackout if they refuse the consequence. Then, oh, yes. If they're 3 and above. Okay. I'm going to tell you a funny story because no one's answering questions right now, and I want to tell this story anyway. I've told it a lot. I was dealing with a client the other day, and their 8-year-old daughter didn't like the behavior board. She realized that, I'm going to get punished here if I do something wrong. So anyway, she didn't like it. You know what she said to her parents? She's 8. She said, "You guys are great parents. You don't need that woman." And then she tore the behavior board off the wall. They put it back up. I've never heard of that before. This 8-year-old little girl buttered up her parents to get rid of me, to get rid of the behavior board. Is that the funniest thing? So when the parents told me that, I just lost it. I thought it was the funniest thing. God, that's why I love kids. They're just they're clever. Yeah, I've never heard that before. Buttering up the parents to get rid of me. You don't need that woman. You're great parents. Oh, God, I love my job. Okay. Oh, and another thing, no one's asking questions, so I'm going to throw this in too. Reinforcing good behavior is so overdone. It's okay to do it, but that's not how you get good behavior. It is absolutely 100% not how you get good behavior. I know people probably teaching that. I don't care. I don't know what anyone else is doing out there. That's garbage, though. Reinforcing good behavior does not get more good behavior. It doesn't. Oh, I got a million examples of that. If you want me to elaborate, I will. I could go on for a very long time about that one. Okay. Oops. I'm trying to work through parallels with gut health. Okay. I don't know what I'm not a doctor. I can't discuss that. You have top tips for toddlers, teens. What about the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds? So that's the 3 to 12-year-old. Everything I talk about is kind of in that age. Anytime I discuss the behavior board, that is in that age. But I would say your number one parenting skill is listening. From the age of 3 and above, it's listening. And be really good at it. And don't solve their problems. If your kids tell you something, I used to go up to my mom, "Mommy, what should I do? This is happening." And she goes, "Well, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You can figure it out." And then we'd work it out together. Problem solve with your kids. Make them understand that they have a choice in how their life goes. That's what a leader does. A leader empowers children. You don't want obedient soldiers that are just whipped and do everything you say. That's ridiculous. My kids had a say, believe me. If I messed up, boy, they were on top of that. They loved it when I messed up. What does get good behavior? Consequences. That's what makes you pay taxes. That's what makes you pay your mortgage. If you don't pay it, you go to jail, or you know what I mean? Consequences. That's what does it. Plus, then you get pride. Anyway, it's just keep watching. It'll make sense. Yeah, this overpraising. That's the reward chart idea. You know, a reward chart sends the message to your children. You're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, like to me, you'll get a reward. But to me, good behavior is just baseline. I don't make a big deal out of it. That's just the baseline for me, is being nice. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher called me on her lunch hour. She thought this was the cutest thing. She thought she had to tell me. She said, "You know what?" She said to my son, he's in grade 2, "Why are you so nice?" And he looked up at her like he had no choice. And he just said, "Mommy makes us be nice." He was proud of himself, though. You know, so that's what gets good behavior, is everyone around them is telling them how nice they are. That's how you get good behavior. When they're nice kids and they're easy to be around, everyone's raving about them and treating them like gold. There's the payoff. You're nice, you get, I believe in karma. What you put out, you get back. My kids understood that from a really young age. Okay. 3-year-old just started behavior board this week. It's on YouTube. Working on not hurting sister. You're working on it. Okay. But what are your tips for other times she misbehaves, corrective actions, or no, you just ignore everything else. I know it's hard to do, but when you're working on that behavior board, the thing is, it's a bit of work. So that's all you're focused on. That is your teaching tool. You're starting to learn the leadership skills. You're going to have 3 of them after 3 weeks. You're going to have 1, 2, 3 different behavior boards, 3 different rules for the kids. Okay. And by the 3rd behavior board, the idea is you're starting to get your leadership skill. You're getting confidence. The kids are starting to respect you more. So the other bad behaviors start to drop away. You just do whatever you were doing. I get asked this every day in coaching. What about all the other crap our kids are doing? I'm like, so it's none of my business. Like, we're focused on that one behavior board. I would deal with everything in day 1. I'm level 10 with what I'm teaching. I teach you how to be a leader 1 step at a time, 1 rule at a time. If I was to throw everything at you, like, I don't teach what I do. I teach what you need, how you need to learn this. There's a difference. You can be good at something, but teaching it is a completely different thing. Yeah, I've been teaching this for 17 years. The first year I was one of my parenting coach. The first year in my business, I didn't have the behavior board. I was trying to teach what I did. Well, I already know how to be a leader. I know exactly what I say and do with kids, but I don't teach that. Does that make sense? Because I've already got the body language, the tone of voice. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I know how to deal with everything with kids. And if I don't, I just say, oh, I didn't like that. Tell you what, I'll think about it and I'll get back to you later. Okay, so it's all tone of voice, confidence. You got to work to get that. So, yeah. Oops, okay. I have child with ADHD behaviors, so these strategies apply. That's where I learned all this. My kids were easy. I got respect when they were little, and they didn't have any special sort of challenges. But all the kids I worked with, not once, ever, in 52 years of working with kids, did anyone ever say to me, here's an easy one, Lisa? They all said, good luck with this one. Teenagers, toddlers, I always got the challenging kids because that was my specialty. I was good at getting the best out of kids who did have ADHD or WXYZ, whatever. I used to call them alphabet kids. That's where I learned all this. Leadership calms them down. Leadership makes them like themselves. Your goal as a leader is not to make yourself look good. Your goal as a leader for your children is to make them like themselves. When they like themselves, they naturally want to please you because you're the source of their high self-esteem. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, your children's behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. 3 to 12-year-olds. That's why the boot camp course is 3 to 12. After that, not so much. Before that, they're just nuts anyway. Toddlers are crazy. So, okay. How do you get a 3 and 4-year-old to stop talking back to you? You don't. You set yourself up, but they're talking back because you're not a leader. They don't talk back to leaders, not at that age, never. So set yourself up as a leader and it wouldn't happen. It's not about them, it's about you. You're not leading. They don't respect you is what I'm saying. When you're a leader, they respect you. They just don't talk back to leaders. They just don't. It would be embarrassing for them. It would feel wrong. So work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach. I don't fix kids. I teach parents here. That's all I do. You lead, they will follow. I got respect with hundreds of kids I work with, teenagers, toddlers, even toddlers sometimes. They're a little bit more challenging, but because they're kind of nuts anyway. But yeah, I got respect with all of them. Was it them or me? Was it their fault they weren't listening to me, or was it my fault because I wasn't a leader? I took responsibility. Leaders take responsibility for kids' behavior. When they were with me, their behavior was on me. And I was just the mentor. I just worked with them an hour a week or whatever. So they're your kids. Their misbehavior is on you, which means you can change it. But you got to change yourself. Comes from you. You lead, they will follow. Have you ever looked up to anyone, like a teacher that you just idolize or a really good sports coach? They make you feel great. They get the best out of you. Would you ever be rude to that person? That's what this is like. Leaders are friends with kids, but you have rules. Like a coach has rules. A teacher has rules. But someone like a mentor, someone that they look up to, that's your role. Your role isn't to be a dictator. You don't want obedient soldiers. Who would want that? I wanted to relax and have fun with my kids. I didn't want obedient soldiers. Believe me, my kids had a voice. It's funny because I always sort of look back and I sort of always thought they were just quiet and easy. I don't know why. And when we look back at some old home videos, they were loud. My God, they had a voice. Like they were fun. Like they were loud and fun, confident kids. So that's what leaders do. I don't know why. In my head, I just didn't remember how loud and crazy they were. But that's because we had an easy house. They were easy kids because I was a leader. Very much so. Very much so. Their dad was the pleaser. That's a good mix, if so long as the pleaser defers to the leader. Like if they ever acted out with their dad, he would have said, do you want me to tell mom? That's all he had to say. There usually is a leader and a pleaser. Like there's not usually 2 leaders. Or if there are, one is definitely more the clear one, the clear leader. It's just the way it is. Talking back disrespectfully, how to handle. It says to me, you're not a leader. They don't respect you. Work on your leadership skills so they can respect you. Children do not talk back to leaders. They just don't. They talk back to pleasers. You know, the newfangled parenting style, all the pleaser stuff, discussing all the big feelings and big emotions when they're naughty. Are you freaking kidding me? It's just garbage. Yeah. Drives me nuts. I see this all the time. Parents having mini therapy sessions with 2-year-olds tantruming. Yeah, good luck with that. It drives my business. My sales go up because of that, but I'd rather not, to be honest. I'd rather make less money and you guys struggle less. Don't be the pleaser parent. Don't try and make everything easy for your kids. If they're acting out, don't try. Well, do you want to discuss why you're doing that? Are you freaking kidding me? Why? They're doing it because they want to get their own way. Why do you need to go on about that? You deal with bad behavior like that, then you focus on the good kid. Don't keep talking about all this bad behavior all the time. It becomes their identity. They're going to wipe their feet all over you. You're going to be like a dish rag as a parent. They're going to be self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues as adults if you do that pleaser parent stuff. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I saw that coming in 30, 40 years ago with the participation awards. I couldn't believe my ears. You mean kids just turn up and they get an award? No, explain that again. What, they turn up and they get, I literally thought that was so insane. And then all the other crap started coming in with it. Oh, geez, what a disaster. That's why teachers are bailing. They're quitting right, left, and center because everyone's sending these misbehaved kids to school and the parents aren't taking any responsibility. They're blaming the teachers and the schools for their kids misbehaving. They've just absolved themselves of any responsibility of their children's behavior. Why would you do that to yourself, to your kids? Why would you do that? You want to be a leader. You have their behavior, 3 to 12 years old, is 100% a direct result of your parenting. 100%. Not their basic nature or personality. You don't want to fool with that. You want them to be able to express themselves, but in a respectful way. So how they act, how they treat people, how they respect people is on you. 100. Whenever I see a kid acting out, I never look at the kid. I instantly look at the parent, and I know exactly what they're going to do because I can tell by a child's behavior how they're parented. So as soon as I see a kid acting out, I just watch the parent and see what they're going to do. I'm anonymous around here. I used to do a lot of TV and radio, so people knew who I was in Vancouver. So now no one knows who I am anymore because I don't do mainstream TV and radio anymore. That's not where things are happening anymore. And but yeah, no one knows who I am. So I can just stand back at a park. If I'm walking by and I see a kid acting out, hitting someone, I'll sometimes walk slower and just side eye and watch it. And I just feel for the parents, you know. I don't give unsolicited advice and I don't want to work when I'm not working. But yeah, it's painful to watch this pleaser parents. It's just so sad. You're not giving kids what they need. That's why they're back talking. You meet their needs and manage their wants. They need leadership. If you're not a leader, you're going to send them out in the world extremely vulnerable and unpleasant to be around too. But they're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching for leadership and direction elsewhere if you don't do it at home. Do it at home and they'll come back and they'll tell you everything. They'll use you as their guiding light. Someone was telling me, they said, someone who works with me said that every time I go, oh, good, a teenage question. Teenagers are my favorite age. And then they said it's so funny because every time you read out the question, you go, oh, I can't answer that. That's coaching. Teenagers are almost always coaching. So I'm very self-conscious about that now, but I will read my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. I'll tell you why it's almost always coaching, because I need to understand how you got where you are. What kind of parent are you? What's your relationship like with your teenager? What's their social life like? Are they depressed? Are they happy? You know, I need to know a few things before I can give you a really sound answer. But my general advice for parenting teenagers is this. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with teenagers. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Let's start the negotiations. It's not a blanket statement. You don't do it with everything, but you try and do it with as much as possible. And number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. They're going to make mistakes just like you did and just like you do. And that's okay. It's not about life isn't about perfection. If your teenager does something stupid and it's not a big deal, say what I would have said. Well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to not be perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to read your question, Amber. Oh, you've been here before. But you see what I'm saying? I'm very self-conscious about saying, oh, that's coaching. Everything with teenagers, I usually say that. Okay, I find myself warning my kids a lot. For example, my 15-year-old won't get out of bed for school, and I'll tell him if he isn't up in the next 10 minutes, he's loading the dishwasher. Is the warning okay? No. Put that on a behavior board so he already knows. Don't, like you're kind of, he's just going to ignore you. That's what I'm saying. Put it on the behavior board. And then if he doesn't unload the dishwasher that's on the behavior board, right, then it's 24-hour media blackout. Check out the behavior board. Okay. Oh, I actually answered a question about teenagers. And with teenagers, you call it an accountability chart. And you're on there too. You have a rule too. And you ask them, what do you want my rule to be? They'll usually say, get off my back or stop being a you know what. But say, well, that's impossible. So let's start smaller. Anyway. Okay, this is too big of an ask for a general, Q&A thing. Changing behaviors for a child that was exposed to drugs and alcohol while bio mom was pregnant, severe social. Okay, that's damage stuff. That's trauma. I only deal with that in coaching because I need to know history. I need to know where they are, how they talk, how do they have, By the way, if you sweep things under the carpets with kids, that's, secrets imply shame. You got to sort of bring stuff out, but you don't just splay it all out. You got to do it very carefully. Everything is inside them. If it's not worked through, they sit and they can simmer for years. Stuff often doesn't come out till they're teenagers. So yeah, you got to work through stuff. You got to watch for signs. So yeah, that is coaching, by the way. I can't help you with that on here. I'd have to assess the whole situation. Okay. I started my business doing crisis work and stuff like that. Abused kids, troubled teenagers. And I remember once I was doing the news, 6 o'clock news, and they invited me on. So they always send a camera crew out to interview you for stuff like this. So it was about teenagers who had self-harm, right? How do we prevent that? So they introduced me as the crisis queen. And I thought, I don't want to be that. I want to be the prevention queen. So I'd rather help you prevent all those problems. In coaching, I deal with crisis still, but I don't lead with that anymore. I'm hoping to get you when you got little kids and prevent all that stuff down the road. Okay. Oh, say someone asked here on YouTube, very good question. I'm glad you asked that. Does it ever happen that something has to go back on the behavior board after it's been worked out in the past? Oh yeah, for sure. But I wouldn't put it on the behavior board. I would just verbalize it. If you've worked it out in the past, like let's say no hitting your sister, and then there was it worked out and he stopped hitting his sister, but a month later he starts up again. Say, I'll tell you what, remember the old consequences? That's what's happening now. So you just don't use a behavior board. Like I never used a behavior board. I just dealt with it like that. So that's what you do. It's already been dealt with. They remember that. So bring it back. You don't have to put it up on a board anymore. That was on YouTube here. Okay, good. A very good comment, Jesse. This is on YouTube. I should add 5-year-old is still. Oh, you had another question. Sorry, because you said I should add. Go back to the first one. Hello, how do I handle my 5-year-old and 2-year-old yelling at each other in the car? One will say something and the other will scream no, and then just back and forth. If ignored, they just keep yelling. And then you said, I should add 5-year-old is delayed and I parent her the same way I do the 2-year-old, and it has been working well, corrective actions rather than words. I would pull the car over and say, I don't like your yelling. I'm just going to stop the car now. It's only going to work if you're going somewhere they want to go. So plan a trip where you're going somewhere they want to go. And then when they start yelling, say, if you yell, I'm pulling over. So as soon as they start yelling, you say no yelling and you pull over and you can just sit there. Look out the window. Don't talk to them. Do not talk to them, please. When you're disciplining, go silent. Silence is golden. Say, we're going to wait 2 minutes, okay, or whatever. And you just pull over 2 or 5 minutes. Well, they're little, like 2 and then maybe developmentally about 2. Just do it for 2 minutes. So pull over to the side of the road. Do it for 2 minutes. Okay. And now we'll get going. Don't say no more yelling again. These parents always want to drive home. They always want to talk about what their kids are doing wrong. Don't do that. Remember the pool story? What did I do there? I dealt with the bad behavior, and then the rest of the time it was all focused on the good kid. I don't discuss the bad behavior once I've dealt with it. It's dealt with. Do not discuss it. Do not discuss it. There's no point whatsoever. None. People who challenge me in coaching would be mostly my child psychologist clients, and it's not that they don't think I know what I'm doing, but maybe they don't. I don't know. They've hired me anyway. So, but they want to know the reasoning behind that. They say, why do we not discuss what we did wrong? And I usually use the same example. When you're pulled over for speeding and the cop says, here's your ticket. And then he always says, have a nice day, drive carefully. He doesn't go on about what you did wrong. Why not? Because you already know. Why would it? Wouldn't it just get on your nerves? And you know you shouldn't have done that. No, I know. Shut up. I'm going to drive away now. You know, it just brings out the worst in people. It's not a good feeling. He deals with the bad behavior. He deals with your speeding. And then, okay, have a nice day. Drive carefully. See the difference? The flip, it's a psychological flip. Like the pool story, it's a psychological flip. There's the bad behavior. I dealt with it. No emotions whatsoever. Now, hey, tell me about what you did the other day. You know, you got to flip it right away. You focus on the good kid. Where you put your attention, where you put your focus is what grows. If you're putting your attention and your focus on the bad behavior, it will grow. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I didn't think I said it enough, so I had to say that twice. Anyway, I got to go over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. I'm on YouTube the whole time. So if you want to check out the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That's 5 weeks to get respect. It's all about you, 3 to 12-year-olds. And then coaching. I'm very busy with coaching these days. I can't take everyone on. But send me an email. If you're really in crisis, put crisis in the... and crisis is not 4-year-olds having tantrums every single day. You know who you are. That is not crisis. Anyway, so I'm going to go over to Instagram now, and happy parenting. Bye now. So YouTube, I'm just pushing buttons here. Okay. Whoops, sorry. How did I do that? Oh, there we go. Instagram. I wish everything was instantaneous. You always have to wait. Like you push a button, then you have to wait. Push a button, then wait. Okay. I'm very impatient. Basically, I grew up watching the Jetsons. I'm too old. You wouldn't remember that. But the year 2000, I expected to be flying around in hovercrafts. So I've always been disappointed that technology isn't further advanced. Okay. Welcome. You might have just come over from Facebook. That's getting busier now, so I didn't get to all the questions over there. And this one, Instagram and TikTok are my busy ones. I do my best to get to as many as I can. But anyway, okay. So you can ask your parenting questions. In the meantime, you can see the link above. It has everything I have to offer in my business. Coaching is different now. You used to be able to sign up on my website 1, 3, or 5 session packages. I'm just so busy. All I have is the 5 session packages because I'm selfish. I want to get you the best results. Anytime I get people for 1 or 3 sessions, I'm like, it's frustrating because the first 3 behavior boards are the first 3 weeks. And then there's so much that comes after that. So it's very much like the boot camp course. So the boot camp course is 5 weeks. Now coaching is 5 weeks. Some people buy them both together. If you just got normal stuff that you're dealing with little kids, I would say you don't need the coaching. But some people like them together. But it's to each his own. It's up to you. Okay. This comes up a lot, and you're not going to like my answer because people want a quick, easy answer. There is none, okay? My 5-year-old won't eat my dinner sometimes, so he goes to bed hungry. Yeah, so fussy eating. There is no easy answer to that. But you know what I did? I can only tell you what I did with my kids. I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, okay? So I don't like giving any of that advice, really. But I can share my story. My son especially was a very fussy eater, but I didn't have any junk. I'm a real health food nut, so I had no junk in the house. There was no ice cream waiting for him in the freezer. So he knew that. Plus, I made all my food from scratch. I was really good at pureeing healthy stuff and smashing it into everything. They didn't know it, but everything that I made had healthy stuff pureed into it. I remember the first time my son ever had pizza outside the home, he said, "Mommy, it was really weird. The sauce was red." My sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it. So yeah, that's what I did. But it's not an easy solution. Some kids just have really fussy palates. But my kids knew that there was no junk food waiting for them. So, and that's a big one. And some people say, all my kids will eat is potato chips and cookies. Well, you can imagine what I say to that. Get rid of the potato chips and cookies. So, best way to react when 3-year-old girl won't greet extended family when they arrive. Our culture is to hug and cheek. She's only 3. Don't force that on kids. I think that's unrealistic. I don't force that on children. I got a few reasons for it. You don't want to hear one of them. But yeah, I don't force that on children. I just say, just leave her alone. She's just shy right now. She's little. She's little. Okay. Plus, yeah, I get it. I get that that's your culture, but I think I respect the fact that they don't want to do that more than I would respect the culture. If your child really doesn't want to do that, they're only 3 years old, I would not force that at all. A 4-year-old that ignores when told what to do, that's a tell. It means you're not a leader. It's all you. Their behavior 100% from 3 to 12 years old is a direct result of your parenting. They don't ignore leaders. If you're a leader, they would not do that. They just wouldn't. So check out my behavior board. That's completely free, or the boot camp course, and that teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. It's all you. Isn't that good news, though? It's all you. I got respect from all the kids I worked with. I've worked with hundreds of kids, and they were never easy kids, troubled teenagers, toddlers, but I know how to lead, and you get respect that way. They don't ignore you when you're a leader. So it's all you. Any good books on parenting? I've never read one. I only teach through experience. I've never read a book on kids or parenting. If I did, I'd probably go, are you freaking kidding me? Why would I do that? I'm experience-based, so yeah, kids were my teachers. No one else is going to tell me how to deal with kids. I went right to the source. And they're the ones who told me to start this business. It was the troubled teens I was working with. They said, you got to teach this, Lisa. No one's ever talked to us like you do. Yeah, so I've never read a book on kids or parenting. And by the way, if you're going to take advice from someone, if you don't like my style or whatever, only you pick a lane and you go with it, because it's like dieting. You can't pick and choose different methods from different parenting experts or whatever we call ourselves. I hate that word, but you get what I mean. Because it's not going to work. It's a package. Like if you were to throw timeout into my stuff, it would tank. I hate timeout. I think it's very patronizing and mean. I hate it. So you can't pick and choose what you like from different parenting experts. But these are the 2 criteria. If you're going to read a book on parenting or take advice from parenting people, make sure they have these 2 criteria. Number 1, they have to have finished the job. Have they lived with teenagers? Do they really know what parenting's all about? If you haven't lived with your own teenagers and seen them into adulthood, you don't know. You can't teach it. Like you have to have lived with teenagers and seen them right through to adulthood. Because a lot of stuff that works with little ones backfires in the teen years. And if you've never gone through that, how would you know? Also, number 2 is they have to have experience with hundreds of other kids. Because I didn't learn much with my own kids. I got respect when they were tiny. They didn't have any special challenges or anything. Not like all the kids I worked with, they did. So that's where I learned all this, with all the hundreds of kids I worked with. Those are the 2 criteria. Finish the job with their own kids, right through to adulthood, and they have to work with hundreds of kids. Other than that, it's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. What's the point? You have to have that wealth of knowledge and experience. It's experience-based. There's no PhD in parenting. That's why so many of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. They've got they out-educate me, but still parenting is different. It's personal. It's completely different from, I couldn't do their jobs, by the way. I would soil myself if I had to do their jobs. I'd need to change my underpants. I just couldn't do it. I don't want to. It's not my thing. I love parenting. It was the most fun I ever had my whole life, was my parenting years. I need advice for a 3-year-old girl who acts out negatively for attention when she has my full attention. Okay, shift my visual gaze. It's not quite enough. Yeah, check out the behavior board. It'll set you up as a leader, and then they kind of don't do stuff like that. They don't misbehave when you're a leader. They just don't. It's like they'd be maybe at 3 a little bit still, but 3.5 to 4, no. So do you podcast? No, not right now. I got so much going on right now. I'd like to write a book and maybe do a podcast one day, but I'm very careful. I'm very busy right now. And if I was to try and spread myself too thin, I couldn't do these lives. And even now, I'm not getting to my messages and comments on social media. I keep saying I'm going to try and do that, but if you really need to get a hold of me, you have to email me. And even then, I don't just answer general questions. That's why I'm here. I do it on the lives, but you can't just email me a general question. I won't answer it. I don't have time. Okay. So that's why I can't spread myself too thin. But I do have someone who does all my social media now, so that I couldn't do I don't understand it anyway. Child hits in public or at someone else's house. How do I apply consequence from behavior? I don't know how old. Are they 2 or 12 or? I need an age. The boot camp is there like virtual meets with you or all material to read. Oh no, you don't meet with me. That's coaching. So it's its own standalone entity, and it's all written and videos with each thing. Now, the written can stand alone. The videos are like a little icing on top. I just add a couple other little hints, a couple little things to focus on, but the course itself is all the written. Every section has a video now. I just added those a month or so ago. And that's just sort of an addition to the course. Like if you just want to read the whole course, that's enough. But the videos, I've put in a few little extra tips in there. Okay, toilet problems with my 6-year-old. Holds his poo, running out of ideas. So he's constipated or he will not go poop in the toilet. And then, okay. Very common with boys, especially, that they poop and they don't want to poop in the toilet. And I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons why they don't do it. It's a bit old at that age, but anyway, this is generally the 3 reasons why they won't poop in the toilet, boys and girls. And I'll tell you why boys are a little bit more prone to this. Number 1 is splashback. They might have been splashed with the toilet. They don't like that feeling. The second one is hanging phobia. You know, they're pooping and it's hanging. They just don't like that feeling. And the other one is the warmth. They're used to, and especially if they've just come out of diapers, it's all smushy and warm in there. And, you know, it's not like that when they're sitting on a toilet. And okay, so the splashback, the reason why boys don't like to poop on the toilet, they got more equipment hanging on down there. So when they get splashed, it's maybe a bit more upsetting. Anyway, so what you do is you get a little porta potty, but for a 6-year-old, I wouldn't even do this. For a 6-year-old, what I usually suggest with little ones is you get a porta potty and you line it with toilet paper, hike up the heat in the bathroom, and you say, look, there's no water in here, so it won't splash you. And plus their poop might hit the bottom, the toilet paper, so it's not that hanging feeling. But with a 6-year-old, I would just say, look, you're not going to get splashed or anything. We're going to put some toilet paper in the toilet. What else do you do? What is that thing that you do to get rid of the water in the toilet? When some people, they clean their toilet that way. They literally, what is it that you do? That you literally get rid of, I think you pour a bucket of water into the toilet and then it drains all the water out. They won't get splashback. And you could explain this to them. Look, I know you don't like the splashback. We're going to do this, but just look it up how you drain. So there's no water in the toilet bowl. So it could be the splashback. And hike the heat up. Maybe that'll help too. And also have it so they only get the iPad show, one show they love. They only get that when they're sitting on the toilet trying to poop. But it's just some ideas. And you never, ever, 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 ever discipline or shame when it comes to toileting or any bodily function. Never shame them, never discipline them for pooping themselves or, yeah. Like someone said to me, as soon as I turn my back, he runs in behind the easy chair and he poops behind our big easy chair every single time. I have to discipline for that. And I say, nope, you can't. If you want to know why, I'll explain, but you just can't. It's a bodily function. Don't go down the discipline route with that. You deal with it, but you don't discipline. Okay. Okay, so I got to skip ahead. Oh my goodness, I'm missing a lot of questions. Sorry about that. How much screen time is appropriate for an 11-month-old? That's a personal decision you have to make. Nobody knows. Some people, I've worked with clients who don't have any screens in the house at all. Even phones, the parents don't use it. They're really, pure, like they just don't want any screens. And they got like 10-year-olds. So everyone's different. It is a personal choice. I can't give you a number. Nobody can, by the way. The reason why I can't, I'm usually pretty opinionated with stuff, but this is because nobody knows. What is the best screen time? What's the best religion? What's the best school? What's the best? There's certain things that it's a personal choice. I don't teach personal choice. Like I have my own personal views on things, but I don't teach that. I teach what I believe is valid. And, I don't teach my own personal views on things. Okay. Someone said, I love you. That's so sweet. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. Okay. My 3-year-old is having major separation anxiety since we took the pack away 4 weeks ago. What pack? My husband and I can't even go on the other room without him feeling out in me. Took the pack away. Oh, pacifier? Is that what you mean? Let's say that's it. You take a pacifier away and they have separation anxiety. Give them something else to hold on to. Give them something else to chew, like one of those little, I don't want to say anything in case it's dangerous, but look up like sippy cups that they might like. You don't just take something away, you replace it with something that you do want them to have. So, yeah. I'm challenging that. Can't even go in the other room without him freaking out and needing us. I don't think he needs you, by the way. I think it's a bit of a manipulation thing. Yeah. He's working on your guilt, is my guess. Yeah, pacifier, yeah. Someone said, I find myself, I keep repeating myself. Yeah, people do, because you think it's going to work the second time. If it didn't work the first time, it ain't going to work the second or 22nd time. Yeah, I don't repeat myself. I say something, hey, we're off to school now. And if my kids didn't come running, because I already prepared them, I said, they knew they had to get ready at a certain time. So I was very organized. They understood. So if they didn't come, when we were going, I would have just said, didn't like that. We'll deal with that later. They would have gone, oops. So yeah, I don't repeat myself. I deal with it. Because I'm very fair and reasonable too. It's not like I was snapping my fingers, clean your room. You didn't do that. Now you're going to get punished. I was very fair and reasonable. My son was 15 and he said to me, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I had a really hard time not going like this. Yes. But I just said, oh, okay. You got to be fair and reasonable. But you don't want obedient soldiers here. They will follow what is fair and reasonable. They just do. But only when you're a leader. They don't follow a pleaser parent. They're going to wipe their feet all over you. They're going to treat you like a dirty dish rag. How do I wean my almost 2-year-old from breast milk? Yeah, I wean my kid. Oh, my son weaned himself at 10 months old because he was bringing the nipple with him. He had to look at everything. God, there was the tiniest little sound and he'd rip me. Oh, it was awful. So I used to have to hold his head so he couldn't rip me away. So finally at 10 months old, he just weaned him. I tried a bottle and he was happy as anything and he drank like that. So that was just what he wanted. My daughter, on the other hand, I had to wean her. She was 14 months old. I dressed differently and I never sat down. So she couldn't get access to me. And I dressed in a way it was hard to get access to that. And I just said, you're a big girl now. No more of this. And Dad was around a lot at the time. We went on vacation, family holiday. So I did it then. She won't sleep without nursing. She'll learn. You just got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. It's going to be tough. She won't sleep for a while. Like it's going to be difficult, disruptive sleep. That's okay. Everyone wants the rainbow without the storm. When you do transitions with children, they don't do very well with that. They got to go through something. You're not allowing that. You got to allow that to happen. Everyone's afraid of their kids. Oh my God, they might have a scene. So they're transitioning, right? That's how they do it. They don't say, well, yes, I know I really like my habits and I'm not happy with it. They just scream and kick up a fuss when you transition. We all have problems with transition and change, but we can rationalize it. A 2-year-old can't do that. Okay, I got to get going over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. I get a lot of people who follow me from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. And it gets busy over there also. Just check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That's 5 weeks for you to get respect, set yourself up as a leader. Everything falls into place when you're a leader. Just changes everything. Remember, leadership is not about you being great. It's about them feeling great about themselves when they're with you. When you make them feel great and you guide them into making good choices, they have pride, they have high self-esteem, and they want to please you. They always treat a leader beautifully because they look up to you. You make them feel great about themselves. That's what leadership is. That's what I teach. I didn't want obedient soldiers. I wanted kids who felt great about themselves. And it was just so easy. Anyway, or you can hire me for coaching. You have to send me an email though, because I can't take everyone on these days. So anyway, check that all out. Anyway, I'm going over to TikTok now. So happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube, I'm pushing buttons again. TikTok. There we go. Okay. Oh, take a drink. Okay, you're very welcome, Kayla. And this is Kayla also on YouTube. How do you handle a 2-year-old getting upset and then knocking stuff over like a stack of books? She doesn't want to play with them, so I don't think taking, yeah. Okay, so what you do is you do consistent corrective action with 2-year-olds. So you take something away that they do like. So she's knocking over a stack of books. You say no, and then you take away a favorite toy. She won't like that. So yeah, it's got to kind of hurt. You can't take away the books that she has no interest in that she just knocked over. Say, no, you don't do that. And then you put her favorite toy. You got to be fast, though. If you wander around and look for the toy, it's got to be quick so she connects it. So she understands, I just threw the books over and now I lost my favorite toy. Take it away for 30 minutes or something. Not a big deal. This is from Anita on TikTok. Hi, how can I apply the consequence chores when a child hits in public at 4 years old? It's delayed. You say, okay, I didn't like that. We're going to go to the behavior board when we get home. You do it delayed. You still do it, but you mention it. Say, we're going to go to the behavior board when we get home. Okay? So you address it, but you defer the punishment. What's the difference between discipline and punishment? Well, we call it disciplining kids, but what it is, when we talk about self-discipline, it's great. We're disciplining them. We're doing it to them so that they get self-discipline. My kids were self-disciplining from the age of about 3.5. They just didn't act out. They understood it was their choice, that if they did something bad, mom was going to come in with a consequence. They connected the dots at a very young age, and they would apologize to me if I had to discipline them. So yeah, punishments, no, it's just teaching them how to have self-discipline. That's the way I look at it. You're teaching them how to have self-discipline. How do you expect adults to have self-discipline if they were never disciplined as children? They just don't even get it. They just do whatever they want, say whatever they want. So the younger you teach them about discipline, they are self-disciplining. It's just the first step in self-discipline. And punishment is like a consequence. It's a way to teach them that. It's just a teaching tool, that's all. But we all have it. We're all punished in life. If we don't pay our taxes, we go to jail, right? If we speed down the freeway, we might get a ticket. So that's part of discipline, punishments, consequences. It's all interrelated. It forces us to make good decisions because we know if we don't, hey, wait, we might end up in jail, right? It's a good life lesson. Children who have no consequences growing up, my God, they are entitled pains in the butts as adults. Every time I see an adult out there fighting a parking ticket, they know they're in the wrong and they'll fight it. I always think, boy, I sure know how they were raised. Like, they're just useless. Like, they're just what unpleasant human beings they are. Fighting a parking, you're wrong and you fight it? Like, how? I see it all the time and I'm like, what a loser. Why would you do that? You have no accountability. It's all entitlement. Rules don't apply to me. It's that's what you're going to raise if you don't teach them this self-discipline. Okay. I'm just going to tell you this quick story just because I thought it was so adorable. And okay, this was a client I was working with last week, and they have an 8-year-old daughter. They said I could tell. I never tell names, but they said, oh yeah, share this because this was so cute. She didn't like the behavior board. She thought it was okay that the parents were on it, but then she decided she didn't want it anymore. You know what she said to her parents? I've never heard this before. She said, you guys are great parents. You don't need that woman, talking about me. And then she ripped the behavior board off. She buttered them up to get rid of me. I have never heard that before. I thought, wow. I was very impressed. She's like next level. She's got those parents figured out. Isn't that a good one? Oh, I thought that was so cute. You're great parents. You don't need that woman. Yeah, she is smart. Yep, her parents are too, though. They're very clever people. I love them. I love my clients because I'm mothering all my clients too. You're all younger than me now. I'm in my 60s. I remember when I first started my business, I used to specialize in teen crisis work. Well, a lot of the parents were older than me because they had teenagers who were in crisis. So I always kind of felt like, and another thing that you do, because I was always talking up to older people. Now, I felt kind of like the little kid, another thing you should do. But but now I'm older than all of you now. Even when you got teens in crisis, I'm older than you now. The reason I love coaching so much is because I see people are the most likable when they're the most vulnerable. To me, I like people who just show who they are. I see parents at their most vulnerable, and that's when they're so exposed, their hearts are open, they're just really raw, they're vulnerable. And I love that. It's a likable quality. People are drawn to vulnerability. It's a very, well, I am because I'm so maternal, but I just love that because there's no phoniness. It's just so real. It's human. I just love it. Anyway. Okay. You're going to hate my answer. How to keep still my 3.5-year-old at church. That's too big of an ask. I don't think you could keep me still at church. So, and I'm 63. So, I would take them to the park first. Like, you'd have to butter me up too. You have to take me to a gym so I can work out first. Take them to a park first, not after. Don't make promises for after. Do it first. Wear her out. Putting a kid on a swing and pushing them is not exercise. You have them run around the swing set or have them push you. They have to move. Meet their needs and manage their wants, okay? But if you're not meeting their needs, that kid needs to burn off some steam, and then they can sit in church a little bit sweaty and a little bit dirty maybe, but they'll be better off to sit there. So yeah. How to help guide my teenager with his dating life. Yoo-hoo, that's a big question. I remember I was doing I used to do a lot of live TV, like breakfast shows and news and that. And I used to laugh and radio, and I used to laugh. The producer always had his finger on the what do they call that? The silent button, because I never knew what I was going to say. So they were like shaking, waiting to hit that button. So just to tune me out, because everything was live, because there's a 4-second delay or something. So they've got time to get rid of what you just said. Anyway, one of the things I said was, someone said to me, how old should your teenager be before they have sex? And I said, tell your kids what I told my kids, that the proper age to have sex is when you're 45 years old, because hopefully I'll be dead by then. So, not a very good answer. And they didn't bleep that one out. But anyway, so yeah, it's just difficult. And you're going to have different ideas about what you think they should be doing. And they're going to have different ideas about what they think they should be doing. Have a really open conversation about it, and do not give them any advice. The only advice you can give them is say, I'm thinking, how much can I say on here, TikTok? Because it's going to come out in words, in writing. I can't say a lot. Yeah, I got to be careful what I say. Anyway, educate them on how to be safe. And whenever you're talking about, you know what, it's always with feelings involved. Like, you don't have to be in love with the person you're married or whatever, but you have to sort of care about them. And but talk openly. The more openly you talk about it, the more they're likely to be responsible about it. Okay? And you want them to tell you everything, like my kids did. It's torture, but you'd rather them tell you everything and be open about things, because then you know that they're doing okay, right? So yeah, it's an awkward thing to talk about on a live, because I can get kicked off for saying the wrong thing. Plus, I get kids on here, so if you really want my help with that, you'd have to hire me for coaching. We could discuss it together if you're really concerned. So, and you have to send me an email. Tell me why you want to work with me. I can't take everyone on, but I am planning on getting to all my emails tonight. If I see it's about coaching and I can't take anyone on, I don't even look at it. So, yeah, I got quite a few. Hopefully, we'll get to all my emails tonight. So if you send me an email tonight, I hopefully would get to it. Your 3-year-old daughter's starting to throw tantrums. How do I manage this? That is very unusual for them to start having tantrums at 3. They usually have them when they're babies and you don't get their food to them in time. They start tantrums right from in the womb almost. So that's very unusual. But what it says to me is there's that fork in the road at 3 years old. If you're more of a leader parent, you're consistent, you're calm, and they know you've just got a leadership thing about you, and that's all I teach here, right? They tend to get easier. 3 is the fork in the road. They get easier. If you're a pleaser parent, always discussing all the big feelings and big emotions, trying to work through all that stuff, they're going to go the other way, because they're going to go, you don't know what you're doing, and they just get worse. So I'm assuming that you got to work on your leadership skills. That's the fork in the road. If you're a leader, they get easy at 3. If you're not a leader, they get worse, because they find their power. They almost go like this. They turn 3 and they go, wait a minute, you're not a leader. I think I will be. So yeah. Check out the boot camp course. That might be a good thing for you. It's in everything I have to offer in my business is up about there. I like your hat and your hairstyle. This is my workout look. I just haven't changed my hair since the gym. I work out every morning. And then this is my go-to sausage hair. I just put elastics in it. I know my hair is getting longer because I've got 5 elastics in each pigtail. I used to have 4. Okay. What's so good about this is a lot of, like, you're doing bench press or whatever, you keep your hair clean, like you have to lay back on a bench, even though you wash it all. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Okay. Okay, my 4-year-old just got kicked out of daycare because he hits when he gets upset, not sure how to stop it. Daycare has to kick you out because they've got other kids who are going home bruised. They can't have that. So yeah, that's something you should be able to deal with at home. And you say no hitting or no hurting other people, and there's a consequence if he does. Yeah, put it on the behavior board. Work on your leadership skills. I actually have a course on toddlers who hit, but that's not for you with a 4-year-old. You put that on the behavior board and you say no hurting other people. That's the rule. Check out the behavior board. It explains how you do that. What do you do when they start hitting you when ignoring a tantrum? You still ignore them, but you restrain them. You physically restrain them if they get violent. So if they're hurting themselves, hurting other people, or damaging property when they're little. You still try to restrain a teenager, but not if they're damaging property. Only if they're hurting themselves or hurting someone else. You never physically intervene with a bigger kid or a teenager, unless they're hurting themselves or hurting someone else. But yeah, you just hold them. You just go like that. If they're kicking it, you just hold them, but you still don't look at them or talk to them. It's very weak to engage in a tantrum. It's extremely weak. Makes you look like you don't know what you're doing, and they pick up on that. Well, I know you're feeling like that. That's all the mini therapy session stuff. It's not good. It's not good. Silence is golden. Just ignore the crazy, reward the calm. If a kid's having a tantrum, this is me looking at the birds in the tree. As soon as they're done, oh, y'all done? Want to read a book? They connect the dots after a while. They go, oh, wait a minute. That is never going to work with that woman. You know what I mean? They learn, oh, wait, tantrums are never going to work with me. So they just stop having them. By about the age of 3, they diminish in duration, frequency, and intensity, and then they eventually stop at 3 to 3.5. When I ignore, she says, talk, mom, talk. So you mean she's in charge? What do I do when she demands something? Yeah, you're telling me she's in charge. Don't discuss bad behavior with my 10-year-old. You deal with bad behavior, but you don't discuss it. Unless they don't understand. A 10-year-old usually understands bad behavior. Why are you beating a dead horse? Why rub it in? Say, yeah, okay, you did that. Here's the consequence, okay? And now, then you just let it go. When I'm hired by child psychologists, I usually say to them, don't ask me to justify what I do until we're finished, because it'll make sense later. But sometimes they really want to know. And one of them that they really struggle with is not discussing bad behavior. And I get that because I know it's so trendy to do so, but where you deal with it, have a consequence for it, but then you focus on the good kid. Remember the pool story? That's my favorite story. I do not discuss the bad behavior. And I usually tell them the pool story. And they want to know why. And I understand that. They're trying to understand where I'm coming from. But yeah. Why do you need to discuss bad behavior? Like they're stupid? They don't get it? It's for you. You're rubbing it in. It feels good to rub it in. That's why you do it. Sorry, but it's why you do it. They already get it. They don't need to hear why they're bad. Toddler acting out after new baby arrives. Yep, just protect the new baby. Don't ever leave them alone. I had a friend who had a really passive little boy like my boy was. They used to play really well together. That's why we got together with play dates with our little boys. They were both 2 years old, just never hit. They were just really passive little guys. And she had a new baby girl. And her little boy was such a sweet little boy and all that. And when the baby came home from the hospital, he was like, oh, wait a minute, that thing from the hospital is here, crying all the time. He went in the bassinet and threw her on the ground. And you wouldn't expect that. He was such a sweet little boy, but he didn't understand concussions, and they're only 2. They don't understand why this pain in the butt is actually going to upset their whole life. How could they possibly understand? It's a difficult transition time. It's just difficult. You can't prepare them for that. I'd like to argue with anyone who says you can. How do you prepare a 2-year-old for a new baby? Come on, let me know. I will argue that forever. You can't. How could they possibly conceive of how much their life is going to change? Some of them don't care. They don't even notice the new baby. Others will. Most will go through a transition phase. I found you 3 days ago and already such a difference in our house. Thank you for this. You're very welcome. That's why I'm here. That's why I do all these lives. These are all free. I don't make any money on these lives at all. But that's why I don't answer parenting questions anywhere else, because I don't have time at all. So this is where I answer all the parenting questions. And I don't answer them just to lead you somewhere else. I want you to get results from these lives alone, because that's really rewarding, because most people won't hire me. So, and I don't want that, because I can't take on everyone anyway. So I would rather you get results just from these lives. If you want the next level, then that's the courses or the coaching, whatever. But yeah, I'm thrilled that people are getting results. I hear this every day. People are getting results just in these lives. But one thing I want to remind you of is that you can't pick and choose what you like from different parenting coaches, because it's meant to be a package. It's like dieting. You don't look at different diets. Well, I like that, and I like that, and I like that. And you mix it together, and you can't figure out why you're gaining 10 pounds a week. Like the potato chip diet with this, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be, you pick a path and you go with it. If you don't like what I'm saying or everything I'm saying, but you like some of it, you can't mix it with other stuff. It just doesn't work. It's meant to be used as a journey, like a whole package. I teach leadership parenting. No one else could teach what I teach because it's my own stuff. I learned this all from kids. Or they might teach it, but they haven't, they didn't do it. I mean, it's not something I ever learned from anyone else. It's something I learned from kids. So, but you got to keep a path and just stick with one person. If you don't like what I'm saying, you never will, because this is who I am. I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to get your results. So if you don't like what I'm saying, move on to someone else and you just use their advice. Pick a path. Pick someone that resonates with you and just follow them for 3 to 5 weeks. If it doesn't work, move on to someone else. Okay, this is Tanya. I've become so frustrated lately that I just don't feel like a good mom anymore. I get so angry. Yeah, those are all the people I work with in coaching. They all feel like crap and they just say I'm just a horrible, awful mother, and the dad's all upset because he can't fix things. Dads are fixers. And often when I'm hired, the mom's like this, dying to get help and often crying. And the dad's in the background like this a lot. He's like this. Like he doesn't want someone else fixing his family. He wants to do it. But I say parenting's the hardest job in the world with the least amount of training, and everyone expects you to be an expert, especially you. Like it's a skill. You got to learn how to do this. And parenting did come naturally years ago. The reason is 100 years ago or whatever, parenting did come naturally. That's where you get this idea from that it should just come naturally, because they had a whole village raising kids. You had a neighborhood. You had parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. People are islands now. And everyone used to complain about their kids. No one was trying to look perfect. They were all going, you won't believe what my kid did the other day. There was no shame in that. Kids are kids. They're going to do crazy stuff. But nowadays, everyone's so sensitive and and they're doing it all alone. And anyway, you can't find the behavior board either. It's all in the link above. And you won't get it right away. It takes, 10 minutes for it to arrive. I ignore all the emails and messages that say, I didn't get my behavior board. And because it takes a few minutes. I'm like that too. I'll sign up for something in business and I don't get it right away. And I didn't get it. But now that I know I've got that, it takes a while. It's like a third-party delivery system or something. Teenage advice, please. I'll give you my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to understand to gather information to lecture with. They will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with the teenager. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Like, let's negotiate. It just shows them respect. And number 3 is you don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Don't try and micromanage a teenager. They're going to make mistakes just like you did. If they do something stupid, and it's not a big deal, say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off, okay? It makes you more relatable. And they don't want to be judged, because that's why a lot of parents do that. A lot of parents expect so much more from their teenagers than they did. They just forget what it's like to be a teenager. Okay. My son is 8, gets frustrated with himself easily, says he's dumb or a bad kid. Don't understand why. Are you a leader? Because they don't usually do negative self-talk if you're a leader. Their self-esteem is really high when they've got a leader, because leaders make them feel good about themselves. So work on your leadership skills. Something's missing there. Do you overpraise? That can actually lead to low self-esteem, overpraising. Don't ask me to explain that. That's like I could do a whole speech on that one. Don't overpraise. Are you thinking I'm nuts right now? Do you want me to explain that a little bit? I actually got it down here. Reinforcing good behavior is so overdone. Yeah. Don't overpraise. Yeah, I actually wrote down here, most parents overpraise and underplay. Play with them. Watch how they play and join in. That's their joy. Their love language is play, not being praised. You're a wonderful child. You're so perfect and beautiful. I don't know why you say you're not. You're so wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go do the dishes now. They're sitting there. Did that help them at all? Not at all. Nothing. It did nothing for them. Now imagine if you went like this. Oh, look at that. What are you doing? You're drawing there? Can I join in? See the difference? What do you think is going to feed their needs? Being told they're great, or actually joining in and making them feel great? It's not so much the praise is bad. It's just it's done instead of other things that are necessary. You meet their needs and manage their wants. Praise is not a need. Playing with them is a need. Play with them. Have fun with them. Enjoy them. Children who are enjoyed in their world by their parents tend to have pretty high self-esteem. Makes them feel great. You watch a kid who's just been told he's wonderful and then you walk away. This is his face. Now you watch a kid that you just said, hey, what are you doing there? Can I play with you? Watch his face. Sure, okay. Which kid feels better about himself? Play, fun, humor, that's their love language. Spending time with them in their world, that is their love language. That's what leads to high self-esteem. That's what I teach. Your consequences on that behavior board is usually playing with your kids, spending time with them. Anyway, I gotta go. Yeah, that's it. There was a few things I wanted to talk about, but I got sidetracked. Okay, I got to get going now. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. That's 5 weeks for you to become a leader. Or you can hire me for coaching. You have to email me because I can't take everyone on right now. Yeah, if you want coaching. And if it's crisis, put crisis in the subject line because I'll look at that. Right away. Anyway, or if you're a past client, you'll be flagged anyway. So you get precedence over other people. Plus, 4-year-olds having tantrums every day is not crisis. Okay. Crisis is the big stuff. Yeah. Anyway, okay, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again soon. Bye now. Happy parenting. Oh, the speech. Yeah. I don't have it'd take me a whole hour to do that one. It's a good one, though. Maybe later.